My name is Romana Ali. In the last class, I have explained you about the different macro and the micro minerals or the elements, and we have also discussed about the functions and the deficiencies of that element. Now in today's class, I'm going to explain you the deficiency and the mobility of elements. We can see the deficiency symptoms in the plant body only when the concentration of minerals are less present in the soil. So here some terms are present that needs to be understood while starting the chapter mineral nutrition. First term is critical concentration. The critical concentration is defined as the amount or the concentration of the minerals or the elements below which the plant shows the deficiency symptoms of that particular mineral or elements. So based on the critical concentration, the deficiency symptoms appear in the plant body due to the deficiency of different elements or minerals. Now, while studying the different deficiency symptoms of different elements, we have seen that the chlorosis is the deficiency symptom that can be observed in almost all the deficiency symptoms of the minerals. So this symptom chlorosis, we can see the yellowing of leaves. So this chlorosis depends on mobility of elements. How the chlorosis, which is a deficiency symptom that has been seen in almost all of the elements. So how this chlorosis depends on the mobility of elements. Let's see this point by taking certain examples for better understanding. So first we'll take an example. Here we'll take a plant, and the leaves which are present at the lower side are older leaves, and which are present at the upper side are younger leaves. Now we know that minerals are present in the soil, and these minerals are mobile elements. Mobile elements are those elements or the minerals which moves from older leaves to the younger leaves. So the minerals like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, so these are certain examples, or these are certain minerals which we are taking as mobile elements. These minerals which are present in the soil is absorbed by the roots. Through the roots, they move in the upward direction and they reaches the older leaves, and then from the and also it reaches to the younger leaves. It is happening in the normal condition when the mobile elements like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium or many other elements which are mobile in nature are present in the soil. They are going to be conducted, or they are going to be transported to the older leaves as well as to the younger leaves. But if these mobile elements are not present, if these mobile elements or the minerals are absent in the soil, so the deficiency of these elements shows the more requirement of these elements by the younger leaves. Now in this situation, when the younger leaves are in the requirement of these certain mobile elements or the minerals, then in this situation the mobile elements which are present in the older leaves, they are going to be transported to the younger leaves. And in this case, as these minerals are conducted from the older leaves to the younger leaves, now the older leaves shows the deficiency of certain mobile elements, and due to this deficiency, the older leaves appears the deficiency symptoms, or the firstly we can see the symptoms of a deficiency of that particular minerals in the older leaves and then in the younger leaves. So by this example we came to know that the chlorosis depends on the mobility of elements, and if the minerals are going to be transported to the younger leaves, then older leaves shows the deficiency symptoms first than the younger leaves. Let's take in another example. We'll be taking some non-mobile elements. The non-mobile elements include calcium ions. Calcium is the only element out of all the 17 elements which is non-mobile. In normal conditions, when calcium is available in the soil, it is going to be absorbed by the roots and it's transported to the different parts of the plant. And this calcium ions helps in the formation of middle lamella of the cell wall. So when it reaches to the middle lamella of the cell wall, we can see that middle lamella is made up of calcium pectate, therefore calcium is helping in the formation of cell wall. When it reaches to the middle lamella of cell wall, it becomes non-mobile. In the case 1, we have seen that these mobile elements like nitrogen and phosphorus, in the deficiency of this element, they are moving from older leaves to the younger leaves. But when the calcium is deficient in the soil, or when it is not available in the soil, and when there is a requirement of calcium shown by the younger leaves, then the calcium which is present in the older leaves cannot move from older leaves to the younger leaves. Therefore, it is termed as non-mobile element, because the calcium which is present in the cell wall or in the middle lamella of the older leaves is not going to reach to the younger leaves, and due to this the younger leaves shows the symptoms of deficiency first, and then the deficiency symptoms of mineral ion like calcium is going to be shown by the older leaves. Let us study the general symptoms which can be seen in almost all of the minerals and elements. We can see 4 general deficiency symptoms in all the elements, and they are chlorosis, necrosis, inhibition of cell division, and delayed flowering. Chlorosis is yellowing of leaf, which takes place due to the loss of pigment chlorophyll. When there is less production of a pigment chlorophyll, then the leaves turn yellow, and that condition is called as chlorosis. And this chlorosis can be seen due to the deficiency of certain elements like nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, sulfur, iron, zinc, manganese, molybdenum, and magnesium. These elements are present in the lesser amount, then we can see a symptom chlorosis. The necrosis is the death of the tissue, and the death of the tissues occur due to the deficiency of elements like copper, chloride ions, iron, and manganese. So these are certain elements. Due to their deficiency, the plant shows the necrosis. That means the death of the tissues can take place in the absence of these elements. Inhibition of cell division. Inhibition means stopping. When the cell division gets stopped, a deficiency symptom is shown by the plants when the elements like nitrogen, calcium, sulfur, and phosphorus are not available in the particular amount, or if these elements are absent in the soil, then we can see a deficiency symptom like inhibition of cell division in the plant body. And due to the inhibition of cell division, there is no generation of ATP takes place in the plant body. And the last one is delayed flowering. And this symptom can be seen due to the deficiency of elements like nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, sulfur, and molybdenum. So these are certain elements which shows the deficiency symptom like delayed flowering in most of the plants. By these general symptoms, one thing that we can observe is nitrogen. Due to the deficiency of nitrogen element, the chlorosis can be seen, and even it is showing the symptom like inhibition of cell division and also the delayed flowering. So by this we came to know that the deficiency of one element can cause the morphological and the structural changes in the plant body, and the deficiency of this one element shows the multiple effects in the plant body. Let us study about the next topic, that is toxicity symptoms of micronutrients. We have learned that if the elements or the minerals are present in the lesser amount or it is not available in the soil, then they show the deficiency symptoms. But what do you mean by toxicity symptoms? So these toxicity symptoms can appear when the micronutrients are available in the higher amount. We know that the micronutrients are the elements which are required by the plants in lesser amount, but when these micronutrients shows slightly increase in its amount, when it shows the slight increase in its amount, then we can see the toxicity symptoms. And when these micronutrients shows slight decrease in its amounts, then we can see the deficiency symptoms in the plant body. The concentration of the mineral ions which reduces the dry weight of the plant body by 10%. That is known as toxic, or the symptoms which is shown in that condition are called as toxicity symptoms. The toxicity can be defined as the concentration by which the decrease in the dry weight of the plant takes place by 10%. To understand it clearly, let us take an example of manganese. The high concentration of the manganese shows the decrease, or it reduces the dry weight of the plant by 10%, and that concentration of the manganese is termed as toxic concentration. Now, when this manganese element is present in the higher concentration, then it shows three things. The first thing is, when manganese is present in the higher concentration, it competes with the other elements like iron and magnesium. So, the higher concentration of manganese makes it to compete with the iron and magnesium in the uptake process. When the manganese is present in the soil, which is in higher concentration when compared to the iron and magnesium. So, during absorption, the 50% of the manganese is transported to the plant, and 50% of the iron and magnesium is going to be transported in the plant body. And this shows that the higher concentration of the manganese reduces or decreases the absorption of the other elements like iron and magnesium. The second thing is, when there is a when the manganese is present in the higher concentration, then this manganese is going to bind the active sites of the enzymes. The enzymes shows some active sites in its structure, and to that active sites only substrate can bind. But if the manganese is high in concentration, then instead of substrate, it is going to bind the active sites of the enzyme. So, the binding of manganese to the active sites of the enzyme decreases the production of the products during that process. For example, here we can take magnesium as a substrate. This needs to get bind to the active site of the enzyme. But when the manganese is present in the high concentration, so instead of magnesium, the manganese is going to bind this active site of the enzyme, and due to the binding of manganese to the active sites of the enzyme, the processes which are going to be carried out by the binding of magnesium would be affected, and this shows the effect on the processes which is carried out by the magnesium. The third thing that we can observe, manganese is present in the high concentration, and that is, it reduces the translocation of calcium. As I said you before, that these calcium ions are very essential in the formation of middle lamella of the cell wall. So, it is required by the cell wall in order to form the middle lamella, which is made of calcium pectate. But when the manganese is present in the higher concentration or in the larger amount, then this is going to affect the translocation of calcium ions. By this, we can understand that the toxicity symptoms of one element shows the deficiency symptoms of another element. So, here the toxicity symptoms of manganese can show the deficiency symptoms of iron, magnesium and calcium ions. Thank you.